Well, I would like to welcome you. I was worried that I was going to be able to get back over here in time because we had a little tech malfunction over at Placerita. We had to drive over there really fast to get it all fixed for them because tonight we have the ladies presenting over at Placerita. They're doing the Spanish version of this exact same slide presentation over there. And Tanner Hall's got a good number of people in it, so they're presenting over there. And tonight you have myself and Mr. Juan Cornejo, one of our counselors as well, presenting to you here tonight. And we're going to take you through what I would call a roller coaster ride of Placerita Junior High School. So it's going to be quick. There's a lot of data. I will send you, don't worry about like if you want to write stuff down. I will send you this PowerPoint via our little EdConnect system so you can have a copy of this and go through and review and remind yourself of what we talked about in case you forget. So I'm going to start us off, and just for the sake of introduction, I'm back. My name is John Turner. I'm the principal at Placerita. This is my third year there. Prior to being at Placerita, I was actually here at Hart High School for 13 years. And prior to that, I was in a district just east of Atlanta for 16 years. So it's a little hard for me to believe that this is like going through my 33rd year. I don't really feel that old, but sometimes, yes, Miss Zamora reminded me how old I was earlier. No, she didn't, I'm just kidding. But we worked together for many years here at Hart, and it's important, I think, for you to know that I have loved being a part of the Hart community. All of my kids went to Placerita. All of my own personal kids went to Hart as well, too. A really neat thing is that the current principal here at Hart, his kids are at Placerita. And the two of us, our kids did the whole Meadows, Placerita, Hart transition for that. So we're very accustomed to what goes on really between our two schools. So that's a little micro snapshot of me. I was a former science teacher in a former life way back. My first year of teaching was the fall of 1986. Some of you might not even have been born at that time. And that is, I think, the whole legacy of teaching rolled into being an administrator. I tell our staff sometimes that I'm just a teacher that became an administrator, and we have an incredible staff, and we're very close in the way that we work together. So with that being said, I'm actually going to let Mr. Cornejo give you a little micro shot of himself, similar, so that you have a little background on him before we dive into our main presentation. So Juan?
Good evening, future Placerita parents. My name is Juan Cornejo. I am one of the counselors at Placerita. It's a total of 3. This is my first year at Placerita, so this PowerPoint will also be new to me, but I will be also kind of presenting with him. I was with LAUSD for about 10 years. I was in Burbank Unified as well, and I was also in LACCD with the college district. I've just been I jumped on board and kind of learning from Mr. T and from the counselors and from our students as well. It's kind of what the heartbeat is of Placerita. And it's a really great place, and it's a place that feels like home. And I'm excited for you guys to join our family and for your students to jump on board as well.
Thank you very much. Now, for us to walk through what we're going to do tonight, just to give you a big picture, we are going to talk about really a lot of specifics about Placerita, and at the end we'll have some time for you to ask questions if there are questions that you have been thinking about, and I will hopefully be able to work through a large amount of information, and the goal is to be done by 8 o'clock or before, and then we'll have time for questions for you to be able to ask if there's something specific that is personal just to your student and you want to hang around later, that'll be fine. We'll be here for you to ask those questions, and we will be glad to answer them. So this is a picture of what our school looks like in the morning, early in the morning, as it typically does when I'm usually standing out at the gate, usually on that side right over there, greeting our kids as they come in. And how many of you, just for the sake of, how many of you have had students at Placerita before? Raise your hand. Oh, that's a good number. How many of you, well, I guess that would be the rest of you are absolute first timers. Okay, that is good too. So we have recycled parents and first-time parents here. How many of you have had at least 2 kids go through Placerita? Raise your hand. Okay, keep your hand up if you had 3 kids go through Placerita. Do I see any hands up there? 3 kids? Okay, we got one mom. She's the winner right down here. Yeah, we did that one time at an 8th grade orientation here at Hart, and we had to stop at number 12. There was a parent who their new 8th grader coming in was their 12th kid coming to Hart. And so actually I think last year there's a freshman here at Hart now who was the youngest of 13 that actually came through. That was a later time. So there's been a lot of people who, I have kids tell me sometimes, yeah, my grandparents went here. And I was like, that's cool, that's really nice to know. So Placerita is the oldest junior high in the district. It's been around, it started actually in 10 classrooms over here in Newhall Elementary in 1960. So in 1960, we began this whole agreement with the Newhall district, and we actually have the original contract for that is pretty cool to read. And actually, you can look it up. If you go on scbhistory.com and you type in Placerita Junior High contract, it'll pop up, it's there. And the history began there, but it wasn't until 1961 that the school actually opened at its current location. So it's been there ever since that time. We are the minors. The minor has gone through several different iterations. You'll see a couple of them tonight in the slideshow. The original minor was actually a very good friend of mine told me whenever she was in Placerita back in the early 70s that they called him Gold Pan Sam. But nobody remembers that now. That's not something we have a minor that we use, our Kid Flicks production crew, which actually are a part of our Kid Flicks staff. Mr. Aaron Covedo is right up in the upper deck. He's waving at us right now. He's recording this, and all of his tech genius, he will be uploading this to YouTube tomorrow so that our parents who might not have been able to be here tonight, I will also send out the URL to that. So, if you're bored and you want to rewatch, you probably want to do that. It'll be up there. We have a great YouTube channel through our Kid Flicks Productions, and that is another opportunity for you to think about if your kids are techie and they like the world of dealing with cameras, computers, a variety of different things. We have machines over there that most kids don't even know what they are. And Aaron is sort of the boss over there. He is like the chief producer that runs through all the things that we do. And we'll talk a little bit about Minor Morning TV here in just a little bit. But the big picture here that I want you to get right off the bat is that Placerita as a whole is a caring environment where we really look to try to challenge kids to go with the right amount of challenge so that they can succeed and move into Hart High School and be able to be very successful over here. There's an endless number of programs that we have that sort of connect between these 2 schools, and it's a really unique way for us to be able to have the interaction that we do together. And it's a very positive one and very connected. With that being said, we have currently, right now, about 1,080 students. Next year, we're set to have probably about 25, 30 less than that, so we're around 1,050, 1,060, somewhere in there. So we've been very constant at around that number, which is good. We're hoping that we don't, our numbers, and actually the numbers in the junior highs around the district are dropping some for next year. And as a whole, the valley, and I think until we get some of the housing developments that are up and going in the next couple years, it'll be a little bit till we see an extra growth in our overall numbers. We have 46 teachers, and back in the day, whenever we used to do API, Placerita always had one of those ones that was 900 plus, and did a great job with that. That was something that Placerita was always proud of back in the day whenever we do that. Now, currently, with the new dashboard model, and if you do any kind of Google search on the California dashboard, all you have to do is type in Placerita, and there's a lot more data than this up there. This is just one little snapshot. And to give you the micro version of how the dashboard works, I'm going to do it in about 1 minute, so hang on. Every dashboard has a specific dial. It's like the dashboard on a car. There are the color red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And the goal of where we want to be as a whole is, of course, over here in the blue. Now, the one that you're looking at up here right now is for the one for the entire district. So within the entire district, we have scores that really range, and this is generally speaking for the entire district, from orange all the way over to green in those areas. And you can see, and this includes all high schools and all junior highs. And if you take what we see for the district and then look at Placerita's numbers, we're actually really proud of our numbers for this past year, and we have a challenge next year to keep ourselves in the same colors where we are. And if you note, as far as each one of these, we are either in the green or, as far as our English group goes, or in the blue. And it was our goal last year to not have anything in the yellow or below, and we worked really, really hard in order to get these numbers where they are. Our English staff is absolutely incredible in keeping the numbers where they are, and our numbers here are comparable or way better than other junior highs in the district. We are either equal to or better than others that are there, that are here. And so I think the big thing about this is we're happy to be scoring and working where we are. We are one of only 4 schools in the entire district. It's ourselves, Rio Norte, Hart, and Saugus are the 4 schools in the district that have all Hispanic and white students scoring in the blue area in English language arts. And that's a pretty rare thing. It's actually something that is not seen in most places, so we're very happy about that. So you can go look at others. This is broken down in a lot more detail. If you like looking at data, California dashboard, just Google that, and it'll pop up, and you can take a look at it from there. Our school day starts at 8:10, and we go from 8:10 all the way till 2:35. So that's our entire time period of the day. Each period is about 48 minutes. And our first period does not move. It stays at 8:10 every single day. The other periods, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, rotate through the week. Now, if you're like I am, I have them all put in my calendar in my phone, because kids will come up to me after brunch on a Thursday and say, "What period are we going to?" And I'll be like, "Hold up, let me look." Because us old folks have a hard time remembering how all that works. But the kids, they get it down faster than we do. So what I mean by that is on Tuesday, instead of going periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we go 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. Then on Wednesday, we go 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, why in the world do you do that? That makes no sense. Well, there's a lot of research that shows that students at this age, if you move where they may have a particular case during the day, or a particular class during the day, they will actually achieve more based on the fact that they don't have the same 6th period at the end of the day every day. So if you had 6th period from 1:30 to 2:30 every day, it'd be every day in 6th period, you'd be dying to be getting out of school. So at the end of every day, we have a different period. So that is something that most all of the junior highs in the Valley do that, and it's a schedule that has served us well for many, many years. I did hit the button before I finished talking about, we have 1 brunch and we have 2 lunches. So we have 1 brunch that everybody goes to starting at 9:58, and that brunch, the entire student body is out at that time. When your students move over here to Hart, they have just the opposite. They have 2 brunches and 1 lunch. And so at Placerita, we have 2 lunches. And we have some days where we have a single lunch, but most days are 2 lunches, and there could be an option in the future for us to have more days that have single lunches. And there's several reasons why we do that. That means we have half the students out for lunch instead of the entire student body. So instead of having 1,080 kids running around for lunch, you have 540 kids running around for lunch, and that's a little bit easier for campus supervisors to see and manage in that. It's also easier on the cafeteria ladies to make sure they are getting lunches served as quickly as possible with that number. So this is I'm not going to go through every single period. You can take a look at this and see how the period rolls out through the day. There is a time frame up there that you might be wondering, what in the world is that DEAR? Well, it's an old acronym, been around for quite a while. It stands for Drop Everything and Read. So from 10:18 to 10:33, we have a time in every class where students have a book. Some teachers allow students to have like some type of electronic device that they read on, some don't. So it depends on whose other class you may be in during that time, since you're in different classes rotating through during the week as to how that works. Most kids have a regular, hard paper book that they are actually reading through at that time. So that's important. I'll talk about our librarian in just a minute, but she's a huge advocate of reading every day, and I think that is an important part of our day that students actually enjoy that time for them to be able to do that. In 7th grade, we have all students have English 7, and in math, they have either Math 7 or Math Accelerated. They have life science in the world of science that they have there, and just an important piece about the science, it's an NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standards curriculum that we follow. We're very fortunate to have a district that we have actually written our own curriculum for that. Because something that you might not know, you might know this already, but there are no books out there right now for the NGSS curriculum full on for like California adoption, the type of standards that we have. So there's a large number of people in multiple junior highs in our valley that got together and put this entire curriculum together. So all of it is online. Teachers use things from the online curriculum. There's a lot of information. It's a curriculum that is about doing. All 7th graders have PE. Yes, all 7th graders have PE. There are a few things where if a student has a doctor's note for a period of time, they may be out for a little bit. Our PE teachers will work with them if you have something that relates to that. Very, very rarely do we have something where a student would become PE exempt for a period of time. And actually, there's several things within the state of California that have changed related to PE recently, and there are some changes that they've had to make here, just making sure that we have qualified teachers, actually fully credentialed people teaching a PE class, so it's become quite significant for that. We also have, in both 7th, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, an elective. So students can take either a year-long or a semester elective. Now, for those of you who had Placerita students before, there were quarter electives that students had. We talked about the wheel, and they could possibly roll through like 3 different classes during the year. Starting this fall, will be your students who are going into 7th grade will be the first group that will have semester-long electives, and will have 4 different options throughout their 8th grade, or throughout 7th and 8th grade, to be able to take a specific elective. Now, there are other year-long electives that students take as well. And if you look at, even thinking about 8th grade, in 8th grade you have a very similar schedule. Everyone has English. In the math area you have Algebra 1 or Math 8. In the science area you have the physical science, which is also an NGSS physical science in the 8th grade. U.S. history in 8th grade. All 8th graders have PE. So both 7th and 8th grade, every student has PE every day. And speaking of PE, our PE department is probably one of the most veteran and most experienced PE departments anywhere in the district. They have a reputation of running one of the best PE experiences that you can have anywhere. We have the infamous minor mile that's run a couple times a quarter. So there's probably about 8 times a year that you guys are going to get so excited on those mornings to get up and come to school and run the minor mile. And there may be a day where myself and or Mr. Cornejo may come run the minor mile with you. Have you done that yet this year? Not yet. So yeah, the last time I ran it, I think I came in 142nd. I was actually pretty proud of that. I was actually just glad to finish because I was pretty pooped by the time I got through. But it's there are some students that actually excel in that area, and even though I'm not there, I'm going to say this now, or I might forget it later. Our runners at heart are really pretty special. We have a lot of, especially at our age level within the district, we have some of the best runners that exist. And so I'll tell you more about that a little bit later when we get to that slide. But a really good number of electives that we actually dive into during the course of the year. Some of our year-long electives are ASB, any of our band groups. We have beginning band, intermediate band, advanced band, chorus, also orchestra is year-long. Dance, which we have beginning, intermediate, and advanced dance. That's a year-long course. And the yearbook, those are all year-long elective courses. We have the other electives that we have are art, ceramics, industrial arts, which we also have our good old-fashioned wood and metal. Yes, that is still alive and well at Placerita, and we love it. We hope to keep it as far into the future as we possibly can. Culinary, and our culinary is divided up into somewhere, if students take the first semester, our teacher now is going to have an advanced culinary, where you can actually do it for a whole year, where the advanced group can go a lot farther than other students have actually gone. Placerita is actually pretty famous for the past year. We've had one of the top 3 finalists on MasterChef Junior as a Placerita student, so that's pretty cool to see that happening. We also have computer tech classes where students can learn how to code and do a lot of things with that. We have a 3D printer that students have the ability to actually produce some work on. We also have CSI, which one of our science teachers teaches a semester-long CSI elective, which is actually a neat thing for students to think of as an option. Did I forget anything, Mr. Cody? I got it? Okay, good. So I just wanted you to have that in your head and thinking with your students, because Mr. Cody and some of the other counselors have been visiting schools and talking with students, and so as you're thinking through this, there are some things like ASB that requires an application process and an interview process, and it's actually a lot of fun to go through that process. And if perchance someone doesn't make it into 7th grade, they should try again in the 8th grade, because they can. We have several students every year that make it in the beginning of 8th grade. So that is a neat way for us to think about it. This is our staff. As I said earlier, 46 teachers, 3 counselors, 3 administrators, librarian. We have 1 psychologist, 1 computer tech. We have 6 secretaries, and then I'm going to stop reading because there's a lot of numbers down there that you can see from where you are. We also do have several interns that work with our social worker, which we actually have a social worker that we share with Hart, and she travels back and forth between here and Placerita all throughout the week. She has a couple of interns that work with her. Yesterday, we just did the interviews for a program specialist, which is a first at Placerita, which will be a person that will actually help us in all of our efforts with Title I and managing the budget for that, along with our wellness center, which I will tell you more about a little bit later. We also have a full-time therapist, as well as an intern that works with her too on site. So there's a lot of extra staff that are present there on campus. Here are the 3 of us. I don't know who that guy is in the middle, but the other 2, I'm very fortunate, and I will say this in a genuine sense, not because I'm biased, because of course I'm biased because I like the people I work with, but to tell you the truth, I've never worked with 2 better assistant principals in my life. They work really hard for kids, and that they're actively, if you could be a fly on the wall and see all the stuff that they do during the day, they work very hard with everything that they do. Miss Madsen came to us. She was a math teacher at Rio Norte for about 10 years, And then she was an assistant principal up in the Antelope Valley at an elementary school for a little bit. And then Mr. Barrios actually was a Placerita student. He graduated from Placerita back in, I think, 97, 98, somewhere right in there. And then he graduated from Hart. And then he was a teacher at Placerita for several years. He actually taught my kids whenever they were at Placerita. And then he went off to the Pasadena district to be an administrator for a few years. And this is his third year back as being an assistant principal at Hart. So I'm very fortunate to work with two really incredible people that work hard every day. And here are our three counselors and our counseling secretary. This guy over here, I think he's standing right over here beside me, Mr. Cornejo. Ms. Villasenor has been at Placerita for 23, 24 years, somewhere in there, been there for a long time. And this, Ms. Bartolovich, she is our llama lover. She loves alpacas, and we have fun with her all the time about if you walk in her office, anytime any of us go anywhere and find anything with an alpaca or a llama on it, we usually buy it and bring it, and she has this entire collection. She is a very loving, caring person. Then we have Ms. Weber is our counseling secretary, and the four of them work very carefully together with students all day long, every single day, and then lots of times they're there until 4 o'clock or 4:30, just working with students in a variety of different ways. This is our front office staff. They're there to help you. Several of you may have had conversations with Ms. Martinez before. Sonia is there to be the registrar and run everything from that side of things. It's a great group to have up front. Our library, we have an incredible librarian, Mrs. Ludlow, on the left there. She has been at Placerita for several years. She is probably the most incredible lover of books of anyone that I have ever met. She's amazing. And then Ms. Torres is also our library assistant. And we actually have, and I skipped through, I put this in here just to remind me so that I would not forget to talk about it. We have a wellness center that we're working on, and we'll probably have a grand opening of that before the end of the year. And it is a place where we're going to have multifunction happening there. Most of those will be opportunities for students to earn the ability to go there. There's going to be some quiet space, there's going to be an art space, there's going to be a Lego wall, we have a foosball table. I know there are going to be probably a lot of people wanting to play that. It's going to be a place where we will go to have multiple activities. Our counselors will actually run some group sessions in there, and we're very excited about getting it up and rolling. Next year will be the first year that it'll be fully functional, so I stuck that in there because at the last minute I thought I need to mention that at least as we're talking through that. We also have, at Placerita, we talk quite a bit about minor pride, and I'm going to hit on that again in just a minute, but while I have this shot up, here's our campus supervisors. They're there throughout the day. Here are some of the clubs that we have that are listed up there. We have a book club, math club, chess club. Show choir is actually a club. And actually, show choir meets over here at Hart on Wednesday afternoons. They come and they meet in the show choir room back here, and they are called major minors. And the major minors are an incredible little group of kids that sing their hearts out. They go to competitions. They compete at the middle school level with all the show choir groups that we have here at Hart. Hart is the only school in the district that has the number of show choir groups that it has. I think there may be one or two other schools that actually have an actual show choir, which means if you have never been to a show choir performance, there's something to see. There's a lot of things that happen on the stage that you would not typically see in a stand-up choir type activity. So our little major minors do a great job, compete, have a great time, and they do that as a club. It's out. There's not a time in the school day that we have. It's separate from our regular chorus. Our chorus that we actually have at Placerita is a stand and sing chorus. It's not a show choir chorus, but we do have a group, and usually in major minors, there's usually around 40 kids somewhere there, so it's a good group. We also have robotics club, geography club, Harry Potter club, literary club. Some students have done Project Linus and made blankets, kid flicks, gaming club, Safe School Ambassadors, NJHS. there's a lot of things you have to do to get into NJHS. So that is something that students have to have a specific GPA, have to do service projects. It's all there. Probably one of the most popular clubs on campus is called Club HOT. And it's called Help Our Town, Helping Our Town. That Miss Soto runs that club, and they do some incredible things. They're always doing service projects. They do really great things at different times of the year, so that they have a series of things. We have our Defy SCD, drug-free youth, and also Club Life, which is a faith-based study group that they have as well. We also have a lot of different intramurals and ASB activities. We have a variety of assemblies, we have brunch activities, we have some really funny, hilarious brunch activities that we have a lot of fun with. Dances, dodgeball, field trips, flag football, we have multiple bowls. We have the boys play the winter turkey bowl right before Thanksgiving, and then the girls actually play football in the winter bowl. And believe it or not, I think some of the girls' teams might beat some of the boys' teams because we've got some athletes in our girls' department over there that actually have been really good. Various food days, music kit, lunch and brunch, different team competitions throughout the year. We have 2 athletic teams at the junior high level across the valley. Every junior high has a track team and a cross-country team. The cross-country team takes place in the fall. The track and field takes place in the spring. And you know, our coaches for track and field have no pressure this year. There is absolutely no pressure because we're going for being champs for 15 years in a row. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Cross country was champs for many years in a row, and then a few years ago we lost by 1 point. It was a sad day. But you know, we've always done really well. We're very fortunate. A lot of that comes from all the good coaching that we have. And we actually have some teachers on campus that coach at the high school level. They're very used to prepping kids for that. And one thing that we do is we also have, and I don't see it up over here, it must not, somehow it must have disappeared on the list. We have a running club, and the running club runs at least once a week, and some weeks twice a week. And the running club gets everybody prepped for both cross country and track. For the first time ever this year, we started our first World Cup soccer matches. We have boys and girls soccer intramurals where they play for the big game. And we had a big comeback. The first game we did with the girls, it was very exciting. We have kickball. We have 3-on-3 tournament. The 3-on-3 tournament goes on right now. It's the matchup with March Madness. We do all through the entire month of March. We have 8 girls teams and 16 boys teams, and they have brackets that they go through and they compete on, just like the NCAA tournament does. And at the end, we take the winner of the boys and the winner of the girls. We make one big team out of them, and we play a co-ed staff team to see who can win. And so far in our games that we've had like that this year, it's students 2, staff 0. So the basketball, the staff has to have a comeback. We got to win this one. It's important. But we have a lot of activities that go along with all of our academics. Band, orchestra, choir, great groups we have within that group. Dance team is always exciting and active, and all the dance shows that we have, that we do our dance shows right here on this stage, right here in our auditorium. Very, very exciting, very professional. Our dance teacher is amazing. We actually have the only full dance studio in the whole district as well, with special floor, mirrors, the whole special room just for that, all the storage that they need for all their gear. ASB leadership is very active. Yearbook, and yearbook in a way is about, there's a lot of photography involved in yearbook. So if a student is really interested in photography a lot, they would have there are a lot of options to learn. The teacher that teaches that also does a great job teaching photography as a part of that class as well too. We have a variety of different things that we already talked about with this. You got the CSI, the wood shop, and also culinary shown up there. We have Mighty Morning TV. A lot of fun that we do with that. And you can actually watch that. If you go onto YouTube and just look up Kid Flicks Production, KIDFLIX, Kid Flicks Productions, every morning you can get an update. It is usually uploaded about an hour or so after we actually have the live show, because every morning on Mighty Morning TV it is live. And there are some mornings when I know I have to get on my morning TV and I'm running across campus to go in there and slide into the studio before the countdown ends and the live show starts. If you can see that sometimes, it's actually pretty fun. We also have a robotics team that competes with in actually the San Diego division, which if you say, okay, why do you do that? We do that because a lot of your competitions are at Legoland and compete. That's better than just going to Joe Schmo High School and competing. So our kids love going to Legoland, and so that's it. You get to get into Legoland and go for competition. So robotics takes place there, and it's actually a neat thing for us to do. We also have this is the Club Hot activities that they do, a variety of different things throughout the year. One of the neatest things that I know they do at Valentine's Day is they combine with ASB and Club Life and make Valentines for the Senior Center. And some of those Valentines are the cutest that you have ever seen. Here's show choir singing, practicing, and we also have the Defy CV is part of where we are there. Cross country and track that we mentioned. Cross country runs their meets over at Central Park. They run the same field that the high schools run on whenever cross country high schools compete there. And the track events are all at COC. And so that is a lot of fun during the thing. A lot of intramurals. There's a turkey bowl up there, dodgeball. Well, the month of November is for dodgeball. So at the end of November, we have the huge dodgeball versus the staff event. Yeah, they killed us this year. It's always those baseball players, you know? The baseball players that have those great arms that, you know, take the teachers down. I had lots of apologies from students after that saying, I'm so sorry that I hit you so hard. I said, yeah, I survived, we're good. But Student of the Month brunches, we have every month. This is our one just from February this past year of our students that were a part of that. We invite all the parents of the Students of the Month get to come in. We have a full little brunch type time where there's food, people get to eat, which is good, and then we talk about all these students. We tell stories about them, tell good stories about them. So it's a really fun thing to be able for students to enjoy and do. Lots of team activities throughout the year. We have fun things that we do at brunch and lunch, and the teams compete throughout the time of the year, and it is at the end of the year, all the team competition culminates with the great race. And the great race is the crowning day for everyone. And it's like a decathlon where there's like 10 or 12 events where teachers are involved, their staff are involved with different things, there's running, there's all sorts of things. And at the end of that, whoever wins, their points get all totaled up with all of the other rankings, and you determine who the champ for the year is at the end of the year with that team competition. We have food services there where students can buy lunches. We also have a student store where if they want snacks, the student stores run by ASB. So that's an option for food there as well. We have some pretty big size differences at Placerita. You have, right now, we probably currently range, we have a couple guys that are about 6'5" plus. We have several girls that are probably in the 6'1", 6'2" range, which most of them are probably volleyball players. But our shortest student currently is, probably in that range of about 3'11" all the way up to 6'5" plus. So there's a huge range there. On our website, we have a variety of different things where we have daily announcements, calendars. There is a link there also to My Morning TV. Most of our direct communication, though, goes through the same kind of SMORE newsletters that we have sent out through the Placerita Prospector and that type of thing for parents to see. And we communicate that every Sunday night, usually around between 6 and 7 o'clock. That will go out to parents and will be there for parents to see, and you get the calendar of the week, what's going on, some news of the week, and there may be a week or two here or there where it may just come in the form of an email, but we're working on sort of coordinating because at the same time in the evening we do one for teachers as well. So we take bits and pieces from both of those and share dates and times and all the things that come together with what happens for the day and time of the week. We have a ballet line out front, about 98% of the time, our ballet line is absolutely smooth, maybe 99%. Every once in a while, we have someone who tries to leave the ballet line through the cones, maybe accidentally, but we have a very smooth process where we go through and around Placerita in a clockwise form. So depending on where you are in the morning it's a pretty smooth flow through. In the afternoon, it gets held up for a little bit and then it moves pretty quickly. Even in the afternoon, it's no more than total from beginning to end, it's about a 10-minute process. So depending on if you're picking up in the ballet line, depending on where you get placed in the loop, it is, once it gets flowing, it flows very quickly. So there's a day or two here or there that's in at the beginning of the year, the first 2 or 3 days, it's going to be slow, I promise you. But when you're sitting there thinking, oh, Mr. Turner said back in March, it's going to move. Well, it just give it a little time. After everybody finds their spot, it will speed up. In the mornings, we have 2 drop-off areas. You can drop off in the back. The back gate will be open at 7:30. And we have, every morning, we have a campus supervisor on the back gate. And we also have, I am the man on the front gate in the morning. So I greet all the kids that come through in the morning, every morning. And we have a lot of running jokes as to who doesn't wear a coat when it's 30 degrees outside. And if they do wear a coat, I tell them, oh my goodness, I'm calling your dad. I cannot believe you have a coat. So we have a lot of funny things like that happen every single morning. So in the process of the ballet line, there's we put no jaywalking on there just because sometimes, and yes, you might not believe this, but it does happen. There are some parents that pull up on this side of the street and yell at their kid over here, hey, come on over. And we're like, no! So it's, we are, if you want to see, one of our campus supervisors, or usually I'm a pretty calm guy, but I might be, a little concerned if a student decides to run across the street just to get to a car. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, that would never happen. Yes, it happens. It actually does from time to time, but not too often. But once you get used to that line, it'll be pretty smooth. Our dress code has had some major adjustments. Actually, the entire district had a change over the past years. And we don't have, back whenever my kids went to Placerita, they had uniforms. Placerita went through a time where you can only wear about 4 or 5 colored pants, like khaki, olive, navy, black, that type of thing, and you could only wear about the same type of color of polo. And that was all you could wear at school. But as some of our teachers would say, boy, how times have changed. So you will get a copy of this. I'm not going to go through every single part of this, but the key thing is that we pretty much look for, on all students, whether it is male or female, you need to be covered from armpit to armpit down to a reasonable length. We don't go around measuring. We're not that. We don't get into oh my goodness, that is a millimeter too short. No, we don't do that. It is just there's common sense involved with that, and there's some things that we're constantly working on. And this particular model is one that is that has been used throughout the year. If a student back in the day, there could be like no hats on campus at all. But if it's cold, once again, common sense comes into play. If it's cold and a kid comes in with a beanie in the morning, that's not a big deal. But when class starts, the beanie and the hat comes off. We make sure that that's not a distraction as a part of the day. So there's not. We used to have a list of things that was a mile long that we worked with, and that list doesn't exist anymore. We do look to make sure people are covered appropriately, and all of our staff work with that, especially in the mornings. If we find someone in the morning, we don't make a big deal of it. We have a whole little process they go through. They swap out to a shirt. They get their clothes back at the end of the day, and we don't usually have more than 2 or 3 kids a day on average that we have to deal with something like that. We have our cell phone policies are really simple in that cell phones should not be out or on or functioning like in a classroom unless specifically directed by a teacher. We have not gone to the full cell phone ban like some schools have. There's a few schools in our valley that have done that. We this quite a bit. Myself and the other administrators would go out and do little mental counts on specific days at brunch and lunch. And through our statistical analysis that has been certified by Ernst & Young, I'm just making that up, we didn't do that. But we actually did go out and look. In some schools are very concerned about kids being on the phones like all the time, like at brunch and lunch. Our ASB provides activities. We have a ball cart at brunch. Our ASB kids go out and man the ball cart. If you want to use whatever we have, footballs, basketballs, soccer balls, volleyballs, all a part of that. We don't have smaller balls like a tennis ball on there, because sometimes if you're hurling a tennis ball around and somebody gets hit with that, it could be not a good thing. So the larger athletic balls are a part of that. Students can play on the field, they can play on the football field, they can play on the basketball courts. And if you look at our campus during brunch or lunch, after students have eaten their lunch and such, there's probably 75 to 80% of our students involved in actual activities. So our kids are not all just sitting around staring at their phones. Now, we have a group of kids, I'll just tell you, that love gaming. And there are sometimes at brunch and lunch, you'll have a group of guys out, participating in that. And it's not a big deal. It's not something that we stress over a lot, as long as whenever we walk back into the classroom, the phones disappear. So we have a small percentage of students that are actually involved in that. The great majority of our students are really active out doing activities, playing basketball. We have both guys and girls playing on the courts and out on the fields, getting a lot of exercise, even on days that they ran the mile. So that they have a lot of fun with that. And we do not have any current plans to actually change that policy. And unless, I will tell you, unless there are some things that have been brewing within the district, unless it were something that came as a district-wide policy that we would have to follow from the board. But even with that, the way that the California law is written, every student has the ability to keep their phone on them at all times. So don't think that, oh my gosh, my student's not going to be able to contact my student. In the case of an emergency, that is something that the law provides students to be able to have. But at this time, we don't have a lot of violations with this. We don't have any major things that we are constantly dealing with phones. And so that's, from our end, we don't have major plans to make any changes with where we currently are. We have a parent group called Placerita Parent Organization. We model that after the Heart group called the Heart Parent Organization. They're HPO here, and we're PPO at Placerita, and we do all sorts of fun things through the year. We have a group of parents that organize and structure that. The big part where most of you will be able to come in next year is we have specific days where they may ask you for help with things. Like we have minor munchies for staff. We're probably 4, 5, 6 times a year. We will have a Friday where the parents provide snacks and a themed little brunch food for staff, where staff all come to the library and we'll pitch in. They'll put a whole little sign-up genius out, and you'll be able to help by bringing in certain things, and that's a big part of where we have participation there. We have times that we will need some help at registration coming in this fall. There will be times throughout the year where even with the Student of the Month, there's a group of parents that come in and help set all that up. So they organize a series of things where they can come in and group together and enjoy themselves as they're doing that. Now, I'm going to stop for just a minute and we'll let Mr. Cornejo walk you through some of this information here at the end. And as he wraps it up here, we will come back for some questions here in just a little bit. So I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, parents, hang in there with me, okay? I'm going to take us to the finish line. We're almost done. Hang in there. Stay with me. Okay. So some of the important information that we have to go over and just ensure that we turn into, especially to the registrar and our main parents, and immunization that are required for the 7th graders are turned in. The registration packets will arrive in the mail in July. One of the things that our registrar, Mrs. Martinez, wanted to reminded me to remind you guys about our online registration. I believe last year was the first year we jumped online, and that's something that we're going to continue to do this year. So just make sure that you guys are getting all the information that we're sending out to you guys. Registration date. So we have Monday, August 3rd. If the last name of the student is A through K, on Monday, August 3rd is when you'll be coming in to turn in some of those paperwork or collecting them. And on Tuesday, August 4th, is for last names L through Z. Okay, and how do I do? Oh, got it, okay. Okay, so we have our open house coming up on Thursday, May 7th. Oh, what happened? Okay, there we go. I know Mr. Turner said that there was some confusion with the dates, and I just want to...
Actually, what is really funny is that our open house was scheduled right in the middle of New Hall's spring break. So we got this genius idea that we will move it. And I was meeting with a group of 6th grade parents, and so we talked to the district. We went through the congressional red tape to actually move it. We did all the stuff. We changed things on the district website. We changed transportation. We changed all of our scholastic book week, the whole book fair week. We did all the various things of that. And then when I put the date out, we realized that, oh my goodness, there's other... I was actually having lunch with 5 of the 6 elementary principals over at Bricks, and whenever we began talking about that, they all looked at each other and started laughing and said, that's our open house. So our district now is like, no, you've already changed this, you have to leave it. So we're gonna work on, we start later, so if you want to go to your elementary open house, you can go to, because some of those start at 5:30, I think, and then we're gonna run hours into where you can come, we will be there until a little after 8. So there should be time that night for you to go get yours and then just come on over to Placerita and see ours as well. So if something else comes up that's difficult, that really has you messed up with that, talk to me and we'll figure out something specific out just for you.
Thank you, Mr. T. And so we will definitely send a form for RSVP. And at our open house, we have a lot of fun stuff for our parents, so definitely come out for this event. Okay, so one of the things that myself as one of the counselors that we talk to the students about is just I guess I would say a small portion of what kind of comes in every day into our office. Every day it's never the same. From Monday to Friday, every day just seems sometimes like a roller coaster. Students kind of coming in with different situations that we kind of try to help them with. But definitely anytime a student or a parent has any questions that have to deal with their grades or their teachers, we definitely encourage the parents to reach out to the teachers first. That's usually kind of what our protocol is, to reach out to teachers because they're the ones that have sometimes the information or the resources that you might be looking for. But a lot of times parents will check in with us as well, especially for grades because we have like an overview of what their grades look like overall. For those of you that are going to be new to our district, we do have Infinite Campus, which is, I believe, also an app that parents can download, where you'll be able to check and review your students' grades, and definitely be checking in with us about any concerns that you might have, just regarding maybe some of these issues. Okay, so our grades. So we have quarter report cards. We also have a progress report card. So every quarter is about 10 weeks, I believe. And so at the 5th week, you will get a progress report card grade, or your child will get a progress report card grade that will just show you where they're currently at. And so then the following 5 weeks, then they'll be getting their grade that will be on their transcript. 5-week progress reports. Student planners, one of the big things that we encourage our students to use every single day. This is where they'll be tracking what assignments, what homework, what projects that they have to do and turn in. So definitely we need your help. It's definitely a team effort, probably the teachers, the counselors, and the parents to ensure that our students are successful. So definitely if you can help us out in reminding them or checking their planners. So a lot of times some students will either not utilize it, or if they find a different method of kind of keeping track of their grades or their assignments, that's also awesome. But we definitely want to encourage them to use their student planners, so it could be just kind of like a tangible thing that they can take out and you can also check. And then homework, depending on the teacher and the subject, it just depends on the workload of the type of homework that they'll get. So it all just kind of depends once they start kind of coming in and you have those type of questions. I know some teachers will sometimes give like a syllabi to the students and the parents, so you guys can kind of see what to expect from the classroom. Okay. Okay, so teachers are available for our students. They do have like office hours, so some teachers are available after school, some teachers are even available before school starts, and sometimes some even during their lunchtime. We do have a form that we will update for the following year that shows when the teachers are available, and you can find that on our Placerita website. For those that don't have a computer laptop at home, we do have computers available after school in the library up until 3:30. So definitely if the students need to log on to Google Classroom or do some type of report that requires internet, we do have the computers available. We have intervention happening after school, depending on, it's usually homework support and either math or English. So we do have the support for our students there. If you ever want that extra assistance for your child, that's something you guys can definitely check in with us about. We also have something called Saturday Academy. I was doing the presentation. I saw a few of the students that I recognized. I was at New Hall Elementary today, and one of the questions they had was, is this detention? No, this is not detention. If a student participates in Saturday Academy, it's just an extra block or extra hours that students can get support from a teacher. Sometimes they study with them in that space. Sometimes they'll help them with their homework. They'll help them with projects and things like that. So most students that participate in Saturday Academy, it's because they need that extra help, or sometimes they need to recover some of the credits that they didn't earn by failing some of their classes. But if a student wanted to go to get extra help over the weekend, that's something that they could still do. Saturday Academy is not every Saturday, it's every other Saturday depending on the month. And we will send out information about that as well when you guys arrive. And we also have support groups that some of our counseling interns help us out with. We have sometimes some support groups with students that maybe are experiencing anxiety, or students that maybe have lost a family member and are having a hard time kind of coping with that challenge. And so we have those kind of support groups, and we kind of see where our students are and kind of mold to every school year to see where they are, so we can kind of form groups or whatever that year the need is. And of course, attendance is crucial. One of the things that we talked about when I went to the presentation with our students, anytime a student misses a day, because it is 6 classes, they will be missing a lot of material. One of the things that you, as parents, can help us out with is just kind of connecting with the teachers and asking them for maybe any homework that they've missed. And we definitely want to encourage our students to be part of that voice. We want them to come up to the teachers, kind of practice that independence, to be checking in with their teachers if they are missing. We do have a closed campus. Anytime a parent or any visitors want to come onto our campus, they have to come in through the main office. If you know that the student will be missing more than 3 days, check in with the office, check in with the teachers. We want to ensure that we can give the students sometimes that homework that they might be missing. And if the student will be missing more than 5 days, they will be in something called independent study. That's something that we work out with our teachers to give the student either a packet of classwork or homework so they can work on if they're going to be absent for that long. So definitely communicate with us if your child is going to miss more than 3 or 5 days. Junior high is a step towards independence. It's not easy. We're here to help. I don't know how many of you remember being in junior high school. Sometimes coming into having 6 classes for the first time can be a big transition for some of our students. And so usually what we notice the first quarter is some of our students coming into our counseling office still kind of nervous, still kind of scared, still trying to figure out how to juggle these 6 classes. And so just as we're trying to be patient with them and trying to help them with this transition, your help with this is definitely key. Just a simple check-in with your student, just finding out how their day went. A lot of times some of the parents, they ask me, sometimes I check in with my child and I ask them how school went, and they just always tell me it was okay. One of the things I tell the parents is sometimes like asking the right questions can kind of get your child to kind of give you the response that you need. So one of the things that I do with our students as well is sometimes I'll ask them, can you tell me a moment that you were happy today in school? And it kind of gets them to pause and think about it. Oh yeah, it was when my friend Samantha XYZ. Can you tell me a moment when you felt nervous? So kind of asking those, being smart with how we ask the questions, to kind of check in with our students, because as you know, sometimes our student they will only let us in as much as they want sometimes. So we want to make sure that we're just checking in with our students for that.
Something that we can get through quickly, and in the next next month or so and maybe put this behind us, and we are hoping that, but we don't really know, what the future holds out there for that. So hopefully, I think we're all of us are in that same boat. One other thing that I was going to share with you that I didn't, and I'll stop and let you ask questions. Every morning, we have the back gate that is open. It's open at 7:30. We have a single front gate that is open usually about 7:10, 7:15, and it all depends on like the weather. This morning we had it open early because we didn't want any students standing out in the rain. So we have single points of entry, both in the back and in the front. There's a campus supervisor on the back gate, and myself and/or campus supervisor or an assistant principal on the front gate every morning. We enjoy greeting all the students, as they come in. That is a part of our initial entry safety plan that we do. Seeing kids face to face in the morning. I tell people, they ask, what type of safety protocol do you have for entry? I said, I have a facial recognition system that I use every morning. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I look at their faces and I recognize them. And so that's, that is true. And it's neat being able to, when you do that, there's no real substitute for human vision. And there are days where when you see kids coming through, I'll see someone coming all the way from the front, and I'll notice there's something not quite right there with them, and I'll see them coming up, and I'll be like, hey Samantha, or hey Ashley, hey whoever, hey, come here a second, hey, what's going on this morning? You're not doing well? No, I had a bad morning. Do you need to talk to somebody? So I mean, that's a part of what we are out there for, and that we're out there seeing. We also, this is a little scary part, but I'll just mention this. We also do multiple drills throughout the year. We do lockdown drills. We do drills that take place in the classroom. And just so that you know how we do this, I come on the morning TV monitors and talk everyone through it. We don't do it in a way that is scary. We're trying to keep it as calm as possible, but since we've all lived through what we've lived through in the past years of what's going on in this valley, we do it in a way where we script it with the teachers. The teachers also have a script with us. We have discussions within our basic lockdown drill that we do that takes place in the class. Then probably the one that is the most stressful is we actually practice a drill, a lockdown drill, that takes place when they're out at brunch. And so we will sound the alarm and everyone will have to go into a safe space. That is, and I will tell you from years of working at both high school and the junior high kids respond much faster. They move. Our quad is usually cleared in less than 13 seconds. So they respond really well. We give them a lot of instruction about that. We talk about that. And I think that's the key thing for us. We also have an incredible text-to-tip line. And our kids use it. They really do. Now, sometimes they use it to tell me that so-and-so stole their fries at lunch. I usually don't respond to those, but we do our best to try to actively respond to those that we see as being very important. So if there are times at night where I may be, the other night I had a text at 10:30, and I was calling a parent just to say, hey, I just got this, just received this, hopefully this means nothing, but I just want to let you know, you should check with your kid, because if the way kids have the ability to communicate, all through the evening. Last summer, I was calling a parent about 9 o'clock on a Thursday evening, and I said, and I knew this parent, I said, hey, I'm really sorry, I know it's summer, it's weird to be hearing from your principal at 9 o'clock on Thursday in the middle of the summer, but I just got this text tip, it was about blah, 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 and the parent was like, oh my goodness, they were in Vegas, and they said, I need to go find her, I'm really worried about what's going on, she had a really rough day. So those type of things, I take them very serious. We all take them serious, and our kids do a great job in communicating with us through that. And our initial first thing that we do is to make contact with a parent over whatever concern that we may have, and we get some things that really help us solve things that otherwise we would never even know is happening. So we really encourage that type of connectedness and communication, that students can have with us. So I just want to make sure that was not a part of what we had up here, but I want to make sure you knew that so that you would have the ability to know that we do our best to stay as closely connected to them, even throughout, not only during the school day, but also, after the school day is over. So with that being said, if you have any, if If there's something you've been wondering about that we did not cover that's in a general sense, I'd be glad to entertain that in the form of a question, or if you have something that